What's up, people? We're back to reviewing Spider-Man movies. So now we are moving on to Spider-Man 2. Um, in my opinion, this is by far the best Spider-Man movie out of all of them. Like, I don't know, it's just the one that got me the most feelings and definitely one of the most invested ones. And yeah, it's by far the best one in my opinion. A lot of people do seem to agree. Yeah, so yeah. Um, with that in mind, let's get into this. Okay, so of course let's talk about Peter Parker first. Um, in this movie he's being Spider-Man and trying to balance his life as a regular guy, and honestly the arc he goes through in this movie is really well handled. Well, you see him struggling. He basically gets punished for being Spider-Man. And, he loses his job at that pizza place. He doesn't get to go to the dance. No, not dance, I'm sorry. The play that MJ is at. Um, he. Just a bunch of bad stuff happens to him. And he ends up losing his powers too because I'll admit, when I first saw this, the losing powers thing confused me. It felt really weird. But then I thought about it, and it's like, oh, I get it now. They only go out whenever Peter has a bad feeling about something, whenever something bad pops in his mind that makes him feel something. And the first time it happens, he sees MJ with Jameson's son, and he freaks out. Then later, it's because, they said they're going to marry, so understandably, he's ticked off about that. So the powers are kind of based on his feelings, emotions, and then eventually he just gives up the suit altogether, or gives up the mantle of Spider-Man and tries to go back, but then he ultimately realizes that no, the world still needs him. Similar to Superman 2, where in that movie Clark Kent tried to give up being Superman so he could live with Lois, but then he realized no, the world still needs him. He's gonna have to be Superman no matter what, even if it risks losing his girlfriend. So Peter does the same thing, and that moment, where he drops the glasses is one of the most goosebumpy moments I've ever seen. It's like probably the most goosebumpy in all the Spider-Man movies. Or no, I also like the moment in Homecoming when Peter is lifting up all the debris. But what? And I guess now I'm thinking of the moment Into the Spider-Verse, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Um, and then of course Peter puts the suit back on and kicks Doctor Octopus's butt, and it's really cool. Tobey Maguire again does a great job, and honestly, there's not much else to say. This is a really good character arc for him that is handled pretty much perfectly, I would say. So, yeah, that's Peter Parker. Jumping to other characters, we see Harry Osborn get more and more or mad, losing his sanity, and of course he finds out that Peter is actually Spider-Man and believes he's the one that killed his dad, and it sets up him putting on the suit, Green Goblin suit for 3. But yeah, not much else for him. He does have a little more in this than he did in the last movie, where he gets more and more angry about how he wants to get revenge. Um, and MJ is, like, I don't know. I'm not sure what else to say. There's that moment where she tries to help Peter against Doc Ock in the climax, but then he knocks her out. So, still getting captured and needing to be saved, which is really all she does in these movies, to be honest. And looks pretty. So, again, not much for her I can think of. Uh, Another supporting character I can think of is Aunt May. Holy crap! This movie really has Aunt May shine. Like Rosemary Harris just really shines in this movie. A like there's that scene where Peter is confessing what happened with Uncle Ben's death, and just the acting on her face. It's like she doesn't even yell at him. She instead just walks upstairs, needs time alone, and then later she forgives him, and even congratulates him for confessing. Has that speech about holding on, and yeah, I do agree with the people who think she may know he is Spider-Man. Like she totally knows, doesn't she? Um, and this movie made me realize this is my by far my favorite Aunt May. Out of the three actresses, Marissa Tomei is great too, but she doesn't have that mentor figure that Rosemary Harris had. I haven't seen the Andrew Garfield movie in a long time, so I don't remember what Sally Field was like. I I just remember her being younger, but yeah, Aunt May is really good. Oh, and she also did more in this movie than MJ when Doc Ock has her and she ends up hitting him with the umbrella. So hey, it's more than MJ ever did in this movie alone. So yeah, there's that. Oh, and J.K. Simmons, like he definitely has the most screen time in this one out of the three. And yeah, this is where that iconic laugh is. Which, yeah, he definitely has the funniest moments in this movie. Just not much else to say. J.K. Simmons is awesome. Also, there was that guy who keeps asking Peter for rent. I honestly forgot how funny that guy was. Like, that guy's actually pretty entertaining. And there's also that girl that offers the chocolate cake is also actually pretty cute. Um, oh crap, there's one more. Oh, also, Kurt Connors was in this. Yeah, the guy who would later become Lizard in Amazing Spider-Man. I didn't even realize he was in there the first time. I don't think. Um, and also they dropped Doctor Strange's name at one point, so it's like, huh, isn't that funny now? Um, with all that in mind, we of course get to the villain of this movie, Doctor Octopus. Um, yep, he is really cool in this. Like, first of all, the arms, man, they still hold up. They're a combination of practical and CG effects, and they still hold up, man. Like almost, I don't know how long, like almost 20 years later. It's pretty crazy. He, um, and he has a cool story. A, the arms were programmed to create that sun, and once they get out of control, they think that that's their only option. They should do that no matter what. And then eventually he, he realizes he has to give up. May says it. May and Peter say it best. Give up the things you love most, even your dreams and all that. And he ultimately sacrifices himself. Although now he's coming back in No Way Home, which yeah, it's pretty exciting. Although it is a little worrying knowing that that could undo his redemption they just had, which I hope it doesn't do that. That, um, but yeah, Doc Ock is pretty cool in this, and yeah, there's that. Oh, and there was something else I honestly forgot to mention in with the last movie, and I regret it. The music, scored by Danny Elfman. Holy cow, the music is just so freaking good. Danny Elfman mostly scores Tim Burton movies, like he did the Tim Burton Batman movies, and he does a really good job with the music here. Um, the Spider-Man's theme is really cool. I think I noticed for the first time what Doctor Octopus's musical theme was. It played whenever he was around, so there's that. Um, yeah, just Danny Elfman's music is just really cool. I didn't even mention the last time, but it's great in that movie too. Um, As for action scenes, and with the last movie, I said that the action scene at the crap, what's it called? The town square or whatever. I forgot what it was called. Crap. Like the action scene there was the funniest scene. I take it back. The action scene in where Peter is delivering pizzas is the funniest action scene in the whole trilogy. That's literally the first action scene in that movie. Peter is delivering pizzas on time. um, and Danny Elfman's music is also just really dramatic, like it's a serious action scene, which makes it even funnier. So, but other action scenes, yeah, the action is pretty spot on with this. You got the scene where Spider-Man is fighting Doc Ock on that building trying to save Aunt May. You got there's a little action with him and Doc Ock at the end around the sun, although not as much. But of course, the action scene I think we all remember is the train scene, which, yeah, what can I say about the train scene that hasn't been said already? It's pretty darn awesome. Like seriously though, like you see them fighting, it's they go really creative with what they can do, and then you ultimately see Peter stopping it before it can, crash. And I always find my stomach tightening whenever I see him struggling to get it at it to stop. Like it's always a tense scene, and I've seen it multiple times. Um. So yeah, the action is good. The CGI, I'd say the CGI is a lot better in this one than in the last one. There are still some spots where it doesn't really hold up, but it does look a lot better than it did in the last movie. The what else is there? The only other thing I can mention is this is probably the most violent of the three movies. Like that moment where the glass ends up killing Doc Ock's wife. Like that's pretty violent for these movies, which are mostly pretty light. And then there's also the horror moment where Doc Ock is killing all the doctors in the hospital. It's like that scene comes out of nowhere, but that's what's kind of fun about it. It's just seeing some horror elements in here, since Sam Raimi is known for horror. So, yeah, yeah, that's about. I think that's all I can think of for Spider-Man 2. Yep. Uh, Again, by far my favorite Spider-Man movie. Hey, of course, the best of the trilogy, as everybody has said. And yeah, it's really, really good. I cannot wait to see Doc Ock come back in No Way Home. Hope they get him right. And yeah, so peace!